Good morning, boys and girls. I'm Eleanor Hawkins, and welcome to TELESTORY Time. You know, tomorrow is Mother's Day, and today is our Mother's Day show. And you know, today, too, you can plan just what you want to do special for your mother tomorrow. And today, I want to honor my mother, who for many, many years read to me every day. And you know, that was many, many years ago. And the poem I want to read is When Mother Reads Aloud. When Mother reads aloud, the past seems real as every day. I hear the tramp of armies vast. I see the spears and lances cast. I join the thrilling fray. Brave knights and ladies, fair and proud, I meet when Mother reads aloud. When Mother reads aloud, far lands seem very near and true. I cross the desert's gleaming sands, or hunt the jungle's prowling bands, or sail the ocean blue. Far heights, whose peaks the cold mist shroud, I scale when Mother reads aloud. When Mother reads aloud, I long for noble needs to do, to help the right, redress the wrong. It seems so easy to be strong, so simple to be true. Oh, thick and fast the visions crowd my eyes when Mother reads aloud. A beautiful poem dedicated to my mother this morning. And now, boys and girls, I'm ready to read another story about a little puppy, and the little puppy who would not mind his mother. There was once a little puppy who lived with his mother on a farm. The puppy was very young indeed and very foolish. His mother kept him near her and would not let him go out by himself. But one day he said to her, "Mother, I am getting big now. I should like to go out for a walk all alone. I am big enough to take care of myself." "You are not very big," said his mother, "and the world is full of things that could hurt you. But if you like, you may go for a walk around the big flower bed in the front garden. I will go with you part of the way." Now, this was not quite what the foolish puppy dog wanted, but it was better than nothing at all. So his mother went with him around to the front of the house where the garden was and lay down in the sun. "Now, if you meet a bee," she said, "do not have anything to do with it." "Well, what is a bee like?" asked the puppy. "It flies in the air and makes a buzzing noise," said his mother. "And if it gets angry, it will sting you." The puppy started off for his walk, and when he got to the far side of the flower bed, a big fly came buzzing through the air. "Oh, here is a bee," thought the puppy, "but I do not feel at all afraid of it. I do think that it could sting a big puppy like me." So he patted at the fly with his baby paws. The fly buzzed around him for a little bit. It sat first on his nose and then on his ear, but it didn't sting him. The puppy brushed it off with his paw. At last the fly buzzed away. Oh, the puppy felt quite brave. "My mother did not know how grown up I am," he thought. "I can take care of myself. Bees are nothing to me." "Well, now, how did you get on, my son?" asked his mother when he came back. "Oh, very well indeed," said the puppy. "I met a bee. He buzzed around me. He sat on my nose, but I brushed him off, and he flew away at once." "I don't believe it was a bee at all," said his mother. "It may have been a fly. You were very foolish. If it had been a bee and you made it really angry, you might have found out how they can sting." The puppy said nothing, but he thought his mother did not understand how brave and strong he was getting to be, quite strong enough to fight a bee. A few days later, he thought he would like to go out by himself again. "Very well," said his mother, "you may take a little walk around the vegetable garden at the back of the house. I will go with you part of the way." So she took him around to the vegetable garden and then lay down under a wooden bench. "But be careful," she said as the puppy was about to run off. "Be careful to keep out of the way of the big brown hen if you happen to meet her. She is a cross old thing, and she is angry. She may peck at you." "What does the brown hen look like?" asked the puppy dog. "Well, now she's covered with soft feathers," said his mother, "and she has little claws on her feet and a pointed bill." So the puppy went off by himself to walk around the vegetable garden. On the other side of the vegetable garden, he came upon a sparrow pecking about for something to eat. It hopped in front of the puppy. "Oh, here is the brown hen," thought he. "Her claws don't look very frightening." The puppy dog gave a little jump at the sparrow. The sparrow looked at him with her bright eyes and hopped a little way down the walk. The puppy dog went after her. The sparrow flew way up into a tree. "Well," thought Puppy, "I am a brave dog. I soon frightened that hen away. My mother doesn't really know what a big, strong son she has." When he got back to his mother, who was still under the wooden bench in the vegetable garden, he told her just what had happened. "I met the hen, but she didn't even try to peck me. When I ran after her, she flew way up into a tree. Oh, I was not at all frightened of her. She was afraid of me." "I don't believe it was the hen that you met," said his mother. "It may have been a sparrow. Hens don't often fly into trees. It is a good thing it was not the hen. If she was angry, she might have pecked you, and you wouldn't have liked that at all." The puppy did not say a word, but he was quite sure that it was the hen that he had met. Didn't she have soft brown feathers and a sharp pointed bill and little claws, just as Mother had said? He thought it was too bad that his mother couldn't be made to understand that her son was old enough to look after himself. A few days later, Puppy again asked if he might go out alone. "I should like to go for a longer walk this time," he said to his mother. "I'm getting quite used to going about by myself. After all, I am really quite big now." "Very well," said his mother. "You may walk around the barnyard, but be careful when you get to the barn door. They may be letting out the pony, and if he should kick you, you might get very badly hurt. Be sure to keep out of his way." "What is the pony like?" asked the puppy dog. "Well, now, he's big, much bigger than you," said his mother, "and he has a bright brown coat, 4 legs, a long tail, and great round eyes." The puppy didn't feel quite so brave when he heard all of this, but he went off just the same. Still, he was quite pleased when his mother came with him as far as the big barn and lay down just inside the door. After all, he could soon run back there if the pony turned out to be really frightening. Now, he had not gone far when he heard the noise of feet on the board floor of the barn. "Now, this must be the pony," he thought, and his little heart began to go pit-a-pat. He saw a boy come out of the barn holding a rope in his hand. The other end of the rope was around the neck of a baby calf. The calf looked very big to the puppy. It had a long tail, a bright brown coat, and a great round eyes. But when it saw the puppy, it stood still and looked frightened. "Ha ha," thought the puppy. This pony is afraid of me. He sees what a big, brave dog I am. He may even have heard about me from the bee and the hen." The boy took the calf out into the field. The puppy ran after them at the heels of the calf and barked. He was feeling very big and brave, and then he went back to his mother. She was still inside the door of the barn. "You have been away a long time," said his mother. "I was beginning to wonder what happened to you." "Oh, I was quite all right," said the puppy. "I was helping the boy with the pony. I barked at the pony's heels, and he was very much afraid of me. "That couldn't have been the pony," said his mother. "A pony isn't afraid of a little puppy dog." "He was very big," said the puppy, "and he had great round eyes, 4 legs, and a long tail." "I believe it must have been the calf," said his mother. But the puppy was quite sure that it was the pony, and that his mother didn't understand just what a brave son she had. A few days later, his mother was taking a nap in the sun at the back of the house. Puppy thought he would go off for a walk without saying anything to her. So he started off, and just as he got to the front yard, who should come out but the black kitten who lived in a basket in the corner of the kitchen. "I don't know what this is," thought the puppy. "My mother didn't tell me about this, but it looks very small. I am not afraid of a bee, or a hen, or a pony, so I don't see why I should be frightened by this little thing." He went nearer to the kitten. She put up her back. All her hair was standing on end, and her eyes were shining like fire. The puppy put out a paw. This was too much for the kitten. "Psst," she said, and she flew right at the puppy's nose. The puppy turned tail and ran back to his mother as fast as he could go, giving little frightened cries as he ran. "Oh, mother, why didn't you tell me?" he cried. "There is a most dreadful animal in the front yard. It is all black, and it makes such a noise. It is much more frightening than a bee, or a hen, or a pony. It has hurt my nose. I think it would have killed me if I had not run away. I never again want to go out by myself." The mother licked her foolish puppy's little scratched nose. "You should not have gone away all alone without telling me," she said to the frightened puppy. "That dreadful black animal was the kitten who lives in the corner of the kitchen. It is much better for little dogs to keep away from kittens. Now perhaps you will understand why a puppy should not go very far away from his mother." And that is the story, The Little Puppy Who Would Not Mind His Mother. And now stay tuned, boys and girls, and we'll be back in just a moment to read from our Big Do You Know book. Stay tuned. And now, boys and girls, I'm going to read from our Big Do You Know book. Do you know Anna Jarvis, a 44-year-old school teacher, lived with her mother in Grafton, West Virginia, and then she became very famous. Do you know Miss Jarvis was very dedicated to her mother, and when her mother died, she was determined to find a way to honor her mother. And in 1905, she decided to begin work, starting a national holiday to honor her mother. Do you know the first Mother's Day service was held on May the 10th, 1908 at Andrew Methodist Church in Grafton, West Virginia, where Anna Jarvis's mother had been a very active member. Do you know at the first Mother's Day service, Anna Jarvis gave every mother a white carnation, her mother's favorite flower. Later, everyone started wearing a white carnation to denote their mother had died, or a red carnation to signify their mother was living. Do you know the first Mother's Day proclamation proclaiming the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day was issued by the governor of West Virginia in 1910, and by 1911, all the states and many countries were observing Mother's Day. Do you know, in 1914, legislation was passed and President Woodrow Wilson signed the bill making the second Sunday in May, Mother's Day, a national observance. We have celebrated this special day ever since. Boys and girls, I'm from West Virginia, and this has always been a very special day there in my state. Be sure and visit your public library. Any of the libraries in the Craven, Pamlico, Carteret Regional Library System. Check out a very good book on your very own library card this next week. And now stay tuned, and we'll be back with another story in just a moment. And now, boys and girls, I'm going to read a magic word. Mother was baking a cake. She took out the blue bowl, the eggs, and the egg beater. She took the box of sugar and the bag of flour and the little brown bottle of vanilla down from the shelf. Then she lit the stove, and the kitchen was filled with a warm, purring sound. "May I lick the bowl?" asked David. He was sitting on the kitchen ladder talking to Mother, as he often did while she baked a cake. Mother looked mysterious. "There's a magic word," she said, breaking the first egg into the bowl, "and if you say it, you may lick the bowl and the spoon and the egg beater too." "I'll guess," said David, as he looked through the window at the soft gray rain outside. "Well, I guess." Then he watched his mother crack the second egg against the bowl. Now, what was the word? He thought, and he thought, and he thought. "Abracadabra," he shouted. "Oh, no," said Mother, whirling the silver loops of the egg beater around and around until there was a smooth golden yellow mixture in the bowl. Now, what was the word? David looked up at the spice shelf, and then he looked at his mother as she flicked some nutmeg into the cake. And he thought, and he thought, and he thought. "Hocus pocus," he shouted. Mother smiled. "That's not the word," she said, as she sifted the flour and sugar into the bowl. It looked like a small snowstorm falling. She took the wooden spoon and stirred the batter around and around until it clung to the spoon in a thick yellow sauce. Now, what was the word? David watched his mother drop 3 drops of vanilla into the bowl, and the sweet smell of the vanilla hung in the warm kitchen air. Well, now it was the smell of all the cakes in the world mixed up together. And David thought, and he thought, and he thought. "Dominocus," he shouted. "Oh, no," said Mother, buttering the silvery cake pan. "Not that." Oh, what was the word? David leaned on the table, shut his eyes, and he thought, and he thought, and he thought. "Alakazurkus," he tried. Mother shook her head. "Oh, the word is much easier than that," she said. "Much, much easier." She opened the oven door and put the cake inside. Now there was a delicious, sugary, buttery vanilla smell that made David swallow. What was the word? He thought, and he thought, and he thought. "Oh, please," he begged. His mother smiled. "There, now you have said the word." "I said it?" asked David, very surprised. Why, yes, his mother said. You said the most magic of magic words. It is. Please, shouted David, and he laughed, and his mother laughed too, as she handed him the bowl and the egg beater and the batter spoon. And she was still laughing when David put a big, sweet, sticky spoon in his mouth. And that, boys and girls, is the story of the magic word. And now stay tuned, and we'll be back with another story in just a moment. And now, boys and girls, I'm going to read you the story, The Cap That Mother Made. Once upon a time, there was a little boy called Anders who had a new cap, and a prettier cap you never could see. Mother herself had knit it, and nobody could make anything quite as nice as his mother. It was of red and green and yellow with a blue tassel on the top. Anders pulled the cap down over his ears and showed it to his brothers and sisters. Oh, they thought he looked very handsome. And then he put his hands in his pockets and said, I'm going for a walk so everyone can see my cap. The first person he met was a farmer walking beside his horse, pulling a wagon of hay. He gazed at Anders' cap and could not keep from fingering the blue tassel. Let's swap caps, he said. I will even give you my jackknife. Now this knife was a splendid one, and Anders knew that one is almost a man as soon as he has a jackknife. But still it did not come up to the new cap that Mother made. Oh no, I could not do that, he said, and with a nod to the farmer he went on. Soon after this, Anders met an old lady who curtsied until her skirts looked like a balloon. She said that he was so fine that he might go to the king's ball. Oh yes, why not, thought Anders, seeing that I am so fine I may as well go and visit the king. And so he did. In the palace yard stood two soldiers with shining helmets and swords. Where are you going? They asked. Oh, I'm going to the king's ball, answered Anders. Oh no, said one soldier, putting his foot forward. Nobody is allowed there without a uniform. But just at this instant, the princess came tripping across the yard. She was dressed in green silk with bows of gold ribbon. She heard Anders and the soldiers and walked over to them. Oh, she said, he has a very fine cap on his head, and that will do just as well as a uniform. So she took Anders' hand and walked him up the broad marble steps and through magnificent halls, where grand ladies and gentlemen bowed before him. At the end of the largest hall, a long table was set with golden cups and plates. Oh, there were tarts and cakes on huge platters. The princess sat down under a flowered canopy, and she let Anders sit in a golden chair by her side. But you must not eat with your cap on your head, she said. And she was going to take it off. Oh, yes, I can eat just as well, said Anders, and he held on to his cap. Give it to me, said the princess, and I will give you a kiss. The princess filled his pockets with cakes and put her old jeweled necklace around his neck and bent down to kiss him. But he only moved farther back in his chair, and he did not take his hands off his cap. Then the king entered, followed by many gentlemen, and the king smiled when he saw Anders in the gilt chair. Oh, this is a very fine cap you had. So it is, said Anders. My mother knit it herself. But surely you would like to change caps with me, said the king, raising the large crown from his head. Anders Anders did not answer. He sat as before and held on to his cap. And when the king came nearer, Anders grew frightened as never before, as the king can do as he likes. Anders leaped from his chair. He darted like an arrow through the halls, down the stairs, and across the hall. He ran so fast the prince's neck fell off his neck, and all the cakes popped out of his pockets. But he had his cap. He still held on to it with both hands as he ran into the cottage. Mother took him into her lap and he told her all the adventures, but he still had his beautiful cap that his mother had made. And boys and girls, we want to wish all your mothers a happy Mother's Day from TELESTORY Time.